Now let's focus on the discussion today. The dynamics of customer expectations continues to evolve at a rapid pace. And to keep up with these expectations, brands need to work incredibly hard to get your attention and convert you with a satisfactory sales experience and a product or service that suits your needs. But to maintain an undeniably positive connection throughout your lifetime as a valued customer is critical today. The stakes have never been higher. And that's because it can take one innocuous miss in their expectations and you might lose them for good, let alone one oversight in your actions or communications that can deliver a permanent poor review for the public to judge. But the good news is it can go both ways. So while a digital loyalty program can make the initial choice around a purchase easier, it can also have enormous impact on the growth of your business by building trust and long-term relationships. The average US household is actually enrolled in up to 29 different loyalty programs, but only actively uses 5 to 12 of those. So how do you build a loyalty program that actually works? So today we'll discuss the most prevalent trends in loyalty and retention marketing, top performing features and incentives, loyalty program models and different approaches, and how to use data to measure success. So I'm going to take a moment now to ask our amazing panel to introduce themselves to you personally before we move into the discussion. Starting with Ali. Hi, Ali. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. So I am Ali. I'm the Director of Retention at Brooklinen, and I've been a long time email retention in retail and D2C. And the main things we've been working on at Brooklinen right now are really around launching our new loyalty program, Comfort Crew, which launched about 5 months ago. So it's still a baby. And really moving the company away from batch and blast emails and thinking about how do we create a much more triggered, automated lifecycle that really gives the customer what they want and what they need at exactly the right times.
Fantastic, Ali. Thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations on the amazing brand and business that you all there at Brooklinen have built today. Looking forward to hearing your insights and your thoughts on this. Next is Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hello, Ian. Thanks for having me. So I've been at McDonald's Canada for about 5 years on the digital and technology team. I was the second digital hire at McDonald's Canada, so I've been lucky enough to kind of see the evolution throughout the years. Before McDonald's, I spent time at Canadian Tire, which is a big box retailer in Canada, along with time at Bank of Montreal, which is a big financial institution here. Got 3 young kids, and luckily enough, it was early dismissal from school today, so they are home running wild somewhere. So hopefully they won't be interrupting us, but I apologize in advance if they do.
Oh, that's wonderful, Adam. Thank you so much. We can't wait to hear all about your experience and your point of view on this topic. And heck, if your kids run in and come and say hi, it would be great to see them. That's what life is right now. And finally, but certainly not least, we have Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hey, so I'm Laura. I'm the Director of Customer Lifecycle and Growth at Ritual. We're a direct-to-consumer health and wellness brand, and we're delivering clean and effective vitamin formulations all on a monthly subscription. So my team is really focused on maximizing our customer-driven growth by delivering an optimal experience across all of our touch points, and that would be both the physical and digital touch points.
Amazing. Thank you, Laura. And what I love about having Ritual in this panel is the way you approach loyalty from the point of view of it being embedded in your go-to-market strategy. And we look forward to unpacking that. And I'm going to start off with one question per panelist, and then we'll get into a group discussion. Let's start with Adam. Adam, McDonald's is the most tenured company on the panel today. And it would be interesting to learn from you about your digital loyalty program and your digital loyalty journey as a business. How has McDonald's evolved its view on the importance of loyalty programs, and what trends are you seeing in the quick service restaurant space?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. 4 or 5 years ago, we started to invest in mobile apps, kiosks, digital drive-through menu boards, and a bunch of MarTech investments. So over the last few years, we've been making the investments to actually get us into the loyalty space in a meaningful way. But at the same time, McDonald's is a place where everyone has their favorites. Everyone kind of knows what they're going to get. And oftentimes it's not a normal kind of e-commerce jersey where you Google something, you find out what you're interested in, you do some research, I want the best whatever. This is very spontaneous. So it's been a really interesting journey on how loyalty has come into view with McDonald's. Where I think is the most interesting element around loyalty is how loyalty and digital really play a role in a non-traditional e-commerce environment, such as the McDonald's drive-through. Several of our competitors in the past month have come up with some really interesting demo videos on how loyalty and digital will work in their drive-through, around what they're planning to do with digital menu boards and how it will enhance the overall experience. So there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot going on here in really the traditional non-e-commerce and loyalty space.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Adam. And we'll unpack more of that in the group discussions. And Laura, I'd love to ask you, Ritual has not only created a wonderful product, which I can confidently attest to as a loyal customer of yours. This was nice and serendipitous that I have my favorite vitamin brand on this panel. But a key component isn't just the fantastic product, but an exceptional customer experience, which you alluded to in the introduction. And as a customer, I'm interested to know how you look at the customer lifecycle from the point of view of loyalty. What surprise and delight features do you create further into my time as a valued customer that will keep me and other customers engaged with Ritual?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, really comes down to the fact that we are a subscription-based business, and we don't actually offer anything a la carte. Like, you couldn't purchase Ritual as just a single vitamin bottle, even if you wanted to. And so for us, that really meant that we needed to think about the full customer life cycle from the get-go. There was never going to be a world where people were, just getting single products, and we were sort of like treating them in a different way every time they came to our website or started interacting with the brand. They were going to be coming back as an active subscriber who was, committing to pay for Ritual on a monthly basis. Obviously, cancellation is super flexible, but when you start a new habit like that, you really are sort of invested for a bit more of the long run. And so for us, that meant that, looking at the full life cycle was important. And so, a lot of people talk about sort of like transitioning from batch and blast to something that's more trigger based. For us, that's sort of where we started because we had to. And so we really like to look at our customer life cycle, on a monthly basis based on how long they've been subscribed, and really provide updates about what the product is potentially doing for you, things that you should keep in mind that are specific to that time in your tenure. We do, lots of consumer insights research and sort of understanding what questions our customers have at what point in their tenure, and really just incorporating all of that learning into this trigger-based communication is sort of like the crux of all of it, which has been really excited and also complicated to build out. And I think you mentioned, surprise and delight. I think a lot of the emails actually are very surprise and delight, which sounds funny. You typically don't hear people sort of commenting on a brand's emails, but we'll if we change something, we'll even get comments on social or in our surveys asking why did you change this email, or I loved when I was receiving that. So people are very receptive to it, and they see it as a trusted source of content. And then on top of that, we can get into this a bit more later too, but we have been rolling out a virtual event series with events focused on things like pregnancy and postpartum that are free for our customers to access. And we also introduced a quarterly sort of small magazine that we include in all of our shipments for free for customers as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura. And I want to dive into that further as we get into the conversation. And Ali, similar to Ritual, I can also once again attest to the quality of your product. Being a Brooklynite and Brooklyn and being a fantastic new D2C business, what excites you the most about the future of loyalty marketing? Are customer expectations shifting? I think we've already answered that question already, but can customers finally look forward to being truly valued versus simply being seen as a transaction, which is the age-old way of looking at marketing?
Yeah, I think for the customer, this is an unprecedented time. When we think about, they have options now that they've never had before. They can go to the big box stores. They can, order online from D2C startup businesses. The power is really in the consumer's hand. Whereas 10, 20 years ago, they just didn't have the choices that are available now. And when you think that everybody really is your competitor, when you think about if you have a great experience with, let's say, a bank, something that's very different from the homeware sheet business, you might walk into a bank and get a cookie and have this great experience. Or you might go onto their website and they have this smooth transition from all their pages and you get exactly what you want done. When you have a great experience like that, you suddenly expect everybody you deal with to have a great experience. And if anyone's is clunky and old-fashioned, then it kind of jars with you. So that's where we've really started to think that relationships have to be the very center of the marketing that we do. We have to acknowledge that they are helping us. We're very grateful for their business, and we have to give them something in return, both quality products, quality information, whether it's how to sleep better, and tips for caring for your products. So it's a very different world than it used to be. And that's really where I think loyalty plays such an important part of this.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think there's a responsibility for brands to act as category captains, bringing that knowledge that you sit on to your customers to help them flourish in those parts of their lives, or just be more mindful in those parts of their lives. It's sharing that knowledge and helping to add value above and beyond the product or the service itself. Wonderful. Thanks, Ali. Let's move into some group panel questions here. And we've got a few of you lined up for these, but please, everyone else, chime in. Starting with the question, I guess for all of you, but let's go Laura, Ali, and then Adam. How do you or your brand define loyalty or retention marketing or a loyal customer? Very simple, but important to level set here.
Yeah. So for us, at its core, we define it as an active subscriber. So someone who is still getting their Ritual shipments on a monthly basis. But even more than that, I think we really equate trust with loyalty. And, trust is based on so many things, especially with a product in the health space. It's the trust that we can get you your product on time. And we've talked about that before, Ian. It's, the trust that this is a high quality product that you really want to be taking on a daily basis. And once you earn that trust, you unlock the ability to do a lot of different things in your customer experience. And so it opens the doors for new product launches and sort of expanding within the household, because people are already, trusting us for themselves, and therefore they would trust us for others in their family. It opens up the opportunity for content, like I talked about before, and really sort of being that trusted expert in things outside of vitamins that are more related to the rest of your life. And so when we get customers to trust us, it means that, one, they'll stay with their habit, but two, they're just looking for more and more from our brand. And I think, that's what loyalty really is, not just someone who, decided that they were going to spend $30, $35 on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm. Ali, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm very jealous of such an easy definition of loyalty. It's a little bit harder, obviously, in the homeware category. You're probably not going to be buying sheets every day, week, or month. There could be years between your purchases. So we really had to think about the signals that tell us that you are a loyal customer. So frequency, AOV, obviously they can be very interconnected, so not hurting one for the other. But then signals from, are you opening our marketing? Are you coming to our site? Are you looking at the information we give you? And we really think about retention and loyalty kind of as one. I always think of loyalty in two different ways. So you can have a loyalty program that's very visible to the customer. And you can think of a Sephora like this. They shout about it. It's about points. You desperately want to earn those points to get your better discounts and the perks. But there's also kind of the hidden programs that you probably don't see. And I think this is what most people refer to as retention marketing, that yes, as you're there longer, you're getting rewarded. Even though you may not know it, you're seeing maybe surprising delights come through and not knowing that you've earned them because you've ordered X number of times. So really thinking about it kind of from both ends. Some people really want that challenge of points and rewards. And then others want to be much more passive, but they still want to be acknowledged that they are great customers.
That's a great answer. Yeah, love it. Adam, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so similar to Laura's point, we get habitual transactions, right? So we really monitor based on, are we seeing you every day to buy coffee? Are we seeing you once a week to buy a Happy Meal or multiple Happy Meals with a family? And basically, we get some really interesting trend lines on transactions and retention and habitual use. What's really getting interesting is what we can start doing with that information. So if we see you buying a coffee every day, but we see, well, you never use the reorder function on the app. Well, maybe we start sending you emails to say, hey, have you seen this feature? Have you seen the value? You can now, essentially get your coffee in 4 clicks, which is fantastic. Similarly, if we see you buy Happy Meals, but you never used curbside service for mobile ordering, well, I own a minivan. Curbside service is wonderful as a way to don't have to get the kids out of the car to get your McDonald's. So it's really how we can take that engagement to the next level when we're talking with our guests.
Fantastic. Thank you all for such wonderful definitions that really helped to clarify for those that have tuned in. That was fantastic. Next question, once again, for all of you, starting with Adam, then Ali, then Laura. There are many different program approaches, including exclusive offers, a points or awards-based system, and subscriptions. Can each of you tell us a bit about your company's loyalty program, which we've touched on a bit, but clarified further? And why does that model work for your brand specifically?
Yeah. So again, for McDonald's Canada, we started with a loyalty program probably over 10 years ago. Really simple. There was a sticker on every coffee cup and a rewards card stuck to it. And it was analog and super simple, but our customers loved it. It was simple and rewarding, and it still exists today. But we collect no data, and we can't really activate on it. So at the purest level, this was loyalty. You come in, you buy a bunch of coffees, you get one free. A few years ago, we replicated the paper program within our mobile app. Results are strong, and when we coupled with something like the reorder feature, which I talked about, which really kind of increases the habitual nature and the ease of coming to McDonald's, the value proposition was pretty strong. This past summer, we evolved our loyalty program to not just have hot coffee and hot beverages as an option, but now every time you order or use your loyalty card when you're buying French fries, you now get punch cards for French fries along with coffee. So we got in Canada, the 2 iconic products at McDonald's are coffee and French fries. So we kind of paired the two, and it's become a really interesting exercise in kind of watching behavior, watching what people purchase. It lets us know more about our guests. And even when people redeem, it's a very different redemption purchase for the free fries and free coffee from an average check perspective and what they're adding in. So it's been a fantastic exercise in the program. On top of that, we've got weekly personalized offers that are all really targeted to drive a specific action from our guests. And we're continuing to evolve that program as well.
Awesome. And Ali, the Comfort Rewards Club, fantastic.
Yeah. First of all, now I really need some fries. So that's what my lunch is going to be after this.
I feel like I need coffee after lack of sleep the last 2 days. Yeah.
Right. But yes, we launched Comfort Crew Rewards about 5 months ago, and we really designed it around the customer and kind of our goal around getting people to come back more often and really decrease the frequency between the purchases. So we really asked our customers, what do they want? And we have a lot of very different types of customers. Some that are very much more coupon orientated, and some that just want like nice, fun bonus offers. So we designed it in a way where you earn points for everything that you buy, as well as some of the other activities that we want you to take. So maybe liking us on Instagram or giving us your birthday, things that, are very good indicators of your loyalty. And then you can redeem those for products. You'll also get extra notifications of things that like our new launches. One of the craziest things that I've discovered since working here is that people love the new colors that we release. We release them maybe every couple of months, and they sell out so fast. So giving them early notification or even notification before they go live has been a great bonus for them. But then when you actually have the points, you can spend them in 3 ways. So you can redeem them for a coupon, which is obviously our least favorite method, but still possible. You can exchange them for a free item. So different levels, different amounts. You can have lots of different items. And then you can also donate your points to Habitat to Humanity New York, which is a really nice way to also kind of give back and have the customer feel that they're being part of the charity efforts that we're doing.
Awesome. And Laura, on your side, we've touched on this already, and thanks to the great definition there from Ali, loyalty versus retention. You guys are more focused on retention, and tell us about your approach there.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, Ritual's been subscription from the get-go. So it wasn't like a mechanism that we introduced in order to improve retention. It's what the brand's been from the beginning. It started with clean and effective vitamin formulations and really making something that was great. But then very quickly, even before the product launch, it was clear that subscription would make sense for us. And it's really tied into the way that we try to market the benefits of the product and sort of just the mindset as well. As I mentioned before, is that it's long-term. And so, we don't say just buy 1 month of vitamins or one bottle. It's not going to do anything for anyone. It's joining the gym for a month, whatever, I'm sure it was great, but may as well not even do it. And so it was clear that subscription was going to be really important for us. And so then as a part of that, obviously our cohort retention numbers are very important for us, as is our lifetime value. And so we really look at, how we can improve those two things. Obviously they're extremely connected, as well as our average order value based on the amount of products that someone has within their subscription bundle. But really trying to, make changes to get people to retain better and to get them to sort of increase the amount of products that they have within their bundle. And doing that, really through trust, as I mentioned before.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And I think that's a good segue into my next question for all of you once again, and maybe in the same order, because I want to talk about the data now. Marketing is so data-driven, especially when it comes to the ability to be successful in your loyalty programs and actually building those retention models we spoke about with Surprise and Delight. You can only do that with really accurate data. So how do each of you measure success? And can you share a few examples of the metrics and KPIs you track to regularly ensure the program is meeting its intended goals? Adam, do you want to start?
Yes. So top line, high level, just how many people are engaging with our digital experience in our loyalty programs. Where we get down from that is really around retention, churn, profitability on each guest and every offer and the programs at large. One thing that we're getting more focused on is just the opportunity around two things. So one, as I mentioned, coffee and fries, two pretty big things. How many actual known guests are we associating with every single purchase of one of those items? And when you can kind of do the math on that, it really is it's a huge opportunity. The other one is around, especially during the pandemic and COVID, when we have had to close some restaurants, the inside of the restaurants, at least in Canada. There's been an opening and there's been an opportunity on how loyalty can help, and knowing the customer can actually help get them into maybe a curbside spot or open up mobile ordering to them. So actually having that relationship with our guests, knowing a little bit about them, has allowed us to take it to the next level and seeing where we can convert to help drive the business when maybe the drive-through is so flushed with traffic that we need to divert. So that's kind of a tertiary one, but one that we've been looking at more closely.
Awesome. Ali, what are your thoughts there on data?
Yeah, similar to Adam, top line metrics are very important to us. How many people are coming back? What are the cohorts doing? But when we think about the actual loyalty program, we obviously don't have 10 years worth of data. I really wish we did. So we're also looking at signals that are going to give us an indication that things are going well. Obviously, LTV takes a long time, especially if your purchase cycle is as long as ours, to really make a difference. So we're looking for signals that are very positive. So for us, one of those is whether they create an account or if they don't. Historically, we've seen if they make an account, they're more engaged, they're a better customer. So something like that, which is kind of very immediate, we can monitor and see, as well as obviously how much the program is used. So what are they redeeming? How much are they redeeming for? What percentage of our customers are actually making use of the program? All of those kind of give us those early indications that we're really hoping that we will see those big jumps in lifetime value further down the road.
Fantastic. Yeah. And yourself, Laura?
Yeah. So, again, top line metrics. So retention is very important. We look at that on a cohort level based on the month that someone subscribed, and then sort of, 30, 60, 90 days out, what percent of those initial customers are still subscribed. And, we're lucky to see really, really great retention numbers there. And then, lifetime value being sort of the North Star. But as Ali mentioned, it can take a while to really understand what that looks like for your cohorts. So looking at average order value, and then sort of like a sister to that would be how many products do subscribers have, and how does that change over the time that they've been subscribed. So looking at that like days out since the date that they subscribed. So those are the really important top line metrics for us. Obviously, looking at other leading indicators like the different survey results that we put out, like our NPS survey and other sort of just like customer experience surveying, which we really try to distribute across the lifetime. So we recently went through and sort of audited that process to make sure that we really were learning about the customer at every stage and not having it really loaded, like in onboarding, for example, or something like that. Yeah, so tons of different touch points, and then we can also look at engagement with sort of like their account. Are they snoozing their order? Are they changing their delivery date? Are they like taking an active role in managing their subscription? So yeah, we have a ton of data, which is lucky. So it's really about understanding what's most important.
Your roles really need to be data centric for sure. It's essential to driving the success of your programs. And how does your team work with marketing, product, and the business intelligence team on measurement and experimentation, on future product innovations? I'm sure a lot of the insights you guys at Leaning are really valuable to those teams. Who would like to pick that question up? Who's kind of consolidating this in
I can start with that one. First of all, just a plug for NPS. If anyone's not doing some form of customer survey, they're absolutely fantastic for understanding how much people like your products, like your program. Plus, a lot of the responses are just really humorous sometimes. So if you need to pick me up when it's late on a Friday, they're pretty interesting to read sometimes. At Brooklinen, we're obviously a pretty small, scrappy team. We're only been around for about 6 years, so we don't necessarily have all those teams fledged out. So everyone's a little bit of everything. But what we've really found useful is working with our kind of physical product team, so the people that are designing the sheets and other products, to think about what our customers need and how those products look different from an acquisition perspective to a retention perspective. Thinking about launching new products is obviously something that we do on a regular cadence, and it's great for our repeat customers because they want to add more colors and more styles. And then getting really close to your finance or business intelligence team, whoever really has the best access to data, and pulling everything you can. So those cross-functional relationships have been the center of really what we do. I always think that like a retention CRM team is the like central hub of the company, because everyone either wants something from you or you need something from them. Everybody wants an email normally. So, it's kind of the center of where everyone's coming.
Anyone else want to build on that? Otherwise, I'll move to the next one.
Yeah, I could touch on it quickly. We work super collaboratively with our product and data teams, as well as our customer insights team. And so we actually have a new structure, which is focused on squads. So if you think about the customer squad, we sort of like pull all those pieces together. And so, the main starting point, like I mentioned, is sort of like, what are we learning about our customers at each stage? And then we'll take, like the aided survey data, and then we'll match that up with the behavioral data of what we're actually seeing in terms of product usage and actual metrics like retention. And so then only once we sort of like bring all of those pieces together, do we try to formulate recommendations, and then that'll go into, like becoming more formal features and things that product would work on, or other teams, like something that comes to life via email.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And Adam, I think I'd like to sort of focus on McDonald's here for a second. In terms of what consumer behaviors did you notice that signaled it was the right time to really focus on some loyalty programs? And what should growing brands be looking out for that could indicate it's time to consider a loyalty program?
It's a great question. So when we were developing it, we thought, we first started with the business need, right? Or what's the business opportunity? So a lot of time was spent looking at PMIX data, customer sentiment. We did a bunch of research, fortunate enough from McDonald's perspective, we had the resources to do a bunch of research and figure out where we wanted to go. But we look at basically our competitive landscape, and coffee is just such a strong competitive area. The morning day part in general is just so competitive. And that's really where we wanted to take our analog paper loyalty program to the next level. That was the easiest, most intuitive starting point. And then how we were able to strap on mobile ordering to that to make the actual experience quicker, because in the morning, don't want to waste your time, make it as convenient as possible. And then with offers, so it's just kind of a building block of, where we need to focus the business, where was our most competition, and where we thought we could add the most value to our guests through loyalty and our digital channels.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adam. And Ali, I want to turn to you and Brooklyn on this one, because I really enjoy the angle that Brooklyn are taking with the Comfort Rewards program, rewarding customers for behaviors that you kind of typically would have seen happen anyway, which really shows your value for those seemingly innocuous actions, but they have a big impact. People posting about the product and writing reviews and actually recognizing those actions and thanking them in the form of points, which turns into new products. And could you share a little bit more around how that program was built out of what you were seeing happening organically? Did you see the organic posts as kind of how you decided to build this program, or was it completely by design in its own microcosm?
Yeah, it was really designed around a business need. Like Adam said, like we kind of identified what the biggest area or biggest room for growth in the business was, and really try to figure out what this program would do to get to that. I would also say that if anybody ever wants to focus on retention, they should have some form of loyalty program, whether it's visible or not visible, because it's such an important part. But what I see a lot in marketing is we tend to reward the bad behaviors. So if you abandon something, we'll reward you with a coupon. If you don't turn up for a long time, we'll reward you with a coupon. So we're very much training people to be bad. I think at one point, one of my friends had figured out all the grocers in the area and how like they could purchase each one once, and then like 6 weeks later, they'd get a coupon for it and go back. So our consumers are smart. They can figure out that we're rewarding them for their bad behavior. And I'm pretty sure some of them just put something in the cart and we'll wait just to see if we send them a coupon. We don't, so don't try it. So really having a loyalty program tells us that we can reward those good customers. So we might still reward some of the bad behaviors at times, but letting you know that if you are good and you do the things that we want you to do, then it's great for you as well as for us. So writing a review, for example, will give you loyalty points for that, but it's going to help us in so many ways, whether that's some search engine optimization, or whether it is just having 5-star and 50,000 reviews to kind of shout about. So yeah, designing it around what your biggest need is the best starting point.
That's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And we'd love to hear some insights. How is it going after 5 months? It's early days. Have you seen a good uptake?
Yeah, it's been really positive. And I'm sorry if I start squinting, the sun is like rising up my eyes this whole time. I'm going to start sitting up straight. Yes, after 5 months, it's been really positive indications. One of the things that we do is we do an NPS survey after you make a purchase. And as the second question to that, we'll ask them, do they know about it and how do they feel about the program? So it really gives us that quick indication that, do people even realize this program exists? And what can we do better, or what do they like about it? So it's really great when you see some of the feedback coming in organically when you're not asking them as well, that they like the points and they like the rewards. We're not necessarily changing all the behaviors we want to yet. So there's definitely fine tuning. I describe it that we're in the crawl stage and we're working on walking and then running. But it's really exciting to see some of these metrics change kind of very quickly.
Nice. And Laura, what's interesting in your model is it's subscription by nature. I'd love to understand in terms of your allocation of effort, because Ali touched on a point in terms of we reward people for bad behaviors or less ideal behaviors than what the business wants. And in terms of Ritual, where do you try and focus more of your time in rewarding those good behaviors, or do you go and triage the people that have abandoned or paused their subscription? And what's that sort of allocation of time? And what are some tips and tricks for people that are trying to win those uncertain customers back that might have paused their subscription?
Yeah, great question. So we focus on all of it. I would say the bulk of our effort is definitely on our active subscriber base. And, that is split between things that are focused on increasing AOV and then on things that are more focused on improving retention. And that's really through like experience improvements and making sure that it's something that people really love to be a part of. So that's how we split things on the customer side of things. And then, of course, like reactivations and win back is very important for us. And so that's, reaching out to customers who may have like actively churned out of their subscription. That's, definitely has like room to improve, but we do see like a very high uptake rate on those offers, but it's like a bit more promotional based, just because like if someone has been a subscriber for a period of time and they made the decision to churn, it's typically related to either expense reasons or they just have too much of the product and they've got to get through it before they'd be interested in coming back anyways. So yeah, that's sort of how we break it down. And something that Ali mentioned that I think is really important here is not just looking at the like behavioral metrics, but the awareness piece. And so for us, that's something that we also measure a lot. So of all of these, sort of like surprise and delight or value adds that we're offering outside of the vitamin subscription, monitoring people's awareness of those and trying to improve that over time as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, great answers, everyone. Thank you. We're going to move into a quick fire round before we go into public Q&A. So this is the warning to those of you out there tuned in. If you've got a question, please send it in right now. Quick fire round. Let's go in the order of Adam, Ali, and Laura. What is your favorite loyalty program and why? Or name one with a unique approach that others should check out.
Canadian program, PC Points, Loblaws group of companies, earn points on groceries during the pandemic has been so important. My wife and I both have over $1,000 worth of points each. We've been shopping, and just last night, a box showed up on our doorstep unexpectedly with 4 new products that they just launched from their own private label brand. So like they've got this thing down pat, all very in line with stuff that we typically purchase. So they're killing it.
Amazing. Ali?
Mine would be DSW, and not just because I have a serious shoe problem, but the way that they can feed up the content that is very relevant to me and the season. And I got a great example of a birthday email today where like there was a fortune cookie I could scratch off and it told me I was going to have a great year. I'm not sure if that was written for 2020 or maybe we're just hoping 2021. But the constant personalized content that's really tailored, because I mean, shoes are so personal. I think that's great.
Wonderful.
I would say, I mean, it's kind of like a basic one, but I think Starbucks is really, really great, especially coming from, the space of having, like an active customer base that has repeated behavior. Obviously Starbucks people are not subscribed, but I think the mechanisms of, like preloading your payment is super smart. And then also that value exchange is really strong. And so they're offering, products that are cheap to the business, but very high value to the customer with coffee. And so that makes like a really strong program for the business. And then they're also sort of using it to expand into other offerings. And so that's, similar to what we're trying to do with expanding within the household. It's, you get coffee every day, but here's something to complement that to sort of increase that average order value.
One that I've noticed, not firsthand, but over the shoulder of my wife, is ShopUp. They know her down pat, and they get her every single time. And it's incredible how, to your point, Adam, they just know her as a person. They know when she might be looking or exploring, when her birthday is, and there's always dollars to be spent, and she gets taken every time. Anyway, well done, ShopUp. Sorry for me. So what skill, let's go to the next one. What skill do you think is most important for the marketer of the future? Adam, Ali, and Laura.
I think, being able to understand the business context of what you're trying to achieve. So being able to just write a business case, there's so many opportunities. We can do so many things. What's the opportunity cost, and why should someone buy into your idea or your project? It's just critical these days.
Yeah, totally agree. I would throw in data and analytics. I think, in the world that we're living in today, having a really strong understanding of all of your customer data, how you can cut it, even down to the specific events and what they represent within your digital experience, just being like very, very in tune with the data, I think really helps you ask good questions, whether you're the one analyzing the data yourself or you're working with other teams. And just unlock a lot of new opportunities and really interesting insights that can help you make, bigger step changes as opposed to just incremental improvements.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with Laura. I think data is super important for a marketer, far more than I think it ever used to be. And I think understanding how your data moves around in the pipelines is also going to be absolutely key, because unless you understand where your data is coming from, how good it is, when you try to manipulate it, it's just not going to work, and you're not going to be able to figure out how to, hack your way to the answer that you're trying to get to.
Yeah, brilliant. And fortunately, for those of you that have heard that and want to do something about it, we've got a Kickstart Your Career in Data event on Tuesday with the head of data at Spotify, who's going to be taking us through an overview of the discipline, so and the importance of it. Okay, finally, what are your favorite resources that help you stay up to date on marketing trends and topics? Adam, Laura, and Addie.
So a new challenge I've kind of set for myself is reading quarterly and annual reports of some of our biggest competitors and some of the public companies that I think are doing amazing things. Something that I never did before, but there's a lot of information you can kind of glean on what's in those quarterly and annual reports, and at least it gives you a good guidance to where at an executive level people are leaning. So that's my latest one.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I love to talk to other marketers and see what they're up to, especially over drinks. They might give away a little bit more than they intended to. But it's really interesting to see how everyone is trying to tackle the same issues. And we all have this belief that there's this amazing utopia of loyalty program out there. And yet none of us have actually got there yet. We're all working towards it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, off that point that everyone's sort of looking at, what everyone else is doing and where you can kind of unlock that value. I've found that, looking more inwards on your business and the things that you're trying to accomplish, and then reading about it in ways that aren't necessarily new news or new ways to do things, but that can try to shape your approach internally, has been super valuable. So really sort of digging deep into topics as opposed to looking for just what's new has been really helpful and interesting as well.
Great answers. Okay, let's move into the public Q&A, and I'm going to get through as many of these as possible. So let's hold on and let's get at them. The first one is from Vanessa. What trends or changes do you see in the next 6 months for digital marketing at large? Anyone want to take that one that they feel confident and passionate about? Otherwise, I'm going to direct it to someone.
I can take it for some of the trends that we're seeing in email. I think email is becoming much more transitionary than it used to be. It used to be that people would come and sit on your lists for years, but now with Apple putting the little unsubscribe feature right at the top, people are moving on and off your lists much faster than they used to. So finding other ways to contact them, whether it's connecting your ESP to something like a Facebook or Google Custom Audiences, so that you can just keep connecting them and not lose your customer just because they don't want emails.
Really great answer. Thanks, Ali. Question here from Felix for Adam. Considering that your customers are more habitual, how are you redoing your loyalty program to approach the pandemic? I would buy a breakfast meal almost daily when working or going to school. Now it's rare.
Yeah, so this is where the churn marketing has really come into play. So seeing those types of fall offs, what can we do from an email and offer perspective? Not to say, I love the point before about not rewarding bad behavior. Pandemics are an exception to rewarding, people dropping off. So yeah, we've really tried to, we've got win back programs scheduled now and into the next little while to try to get people back into either the same day part or different day parts, but trying to keep McDonald's top of mind as people make different choices.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Adam. Question here from Asher. Have the various companies seen increased or decreased numbers of people joining their loyalty programs in the COVID environment? Ali, and then Laura, and then Adam.
Yeah, for Brooklinen, we're obviously placed really well for the kind of environment that we are in right now, that everybody is stuck at home. They want to make their place much more comfortable. So we've definitely seen an uptake in interest. It's just really interesting how, different behaviors are coming and you're seeing different trends in your customers than you would do before. So it's obviously really tough for everybody out there, but trying to make people feel more comfortable, whether that's with some of the content that we have and suggestions on how to de-stress a little bit, which I think we all need right now, or ways to stay comfortable, I think has been so key for us.
Yeah, likewise, with the pandemic and sort of like everyone's renewed focus on health and wellness, it has been strong for us. We've seen sort of like a variety of different trends, at sort of like the beginning of COVID, with CPAs being much lower in digital channels as certain advertisers pulled out, was great for us. And then that coupled with sort of the focus on health and wellness. But then you have the other side of, people's financial situations changing and sort of that impact on the business. So it's been really interesting to monitor it, and sort of understand how we can adjust our messaging for those audiences at this time.
I agree with everything Ali and Laura have said. Not much to add there.
Awesome. Okay. Moving on to a question from Joni here. How do you balance your lead generation efforts with customer loyalty? Cheaper, faster leads are obviously needed for growth, but they can be the hardest to retain. So what kind of split on quality versus quantity do you try to achieve? Great question, Joni. Who would like to tackle that one? Balancing your lead generation efforts with your customer loyalty.
Yeah, I can tackle that. I think, it's something that we keep really top of mind. We want to keep obviously that relationship between what we pay for our customer and then what their lifetime value is in check. And so that's always going to be the most important thing. We're at a point now where we've been able to scale a lot of our channels to a point where they're pretty predictable. And so, we aren't bringing in large volumes of customers from channels that are new for us, which means that we have a pretty good understanding of how those types of customers behave. But of course, anytime we introduce a new channel and are working on scaling that up, we look more closely at what the retention or different behaviors from that customer base is. And it's been very interesting to see that they really do behave in different ways, depending on the channel that they were acquired through.
Awesome. Okay, moving through as many of these as possible. From Joseph, hey Laura and Ali, it sounds like you're going through a lot of data and building these systems with smaller teams. What tools do you use to keep these programs scalable, like your data management, your CRM, your messaging automation? Great question. Ali, do you want to tackle that one first and then Laura?
Yeah, we've actually been going through a project at the moment to kind of merge everything together. So take our ESP and really think about it more as a CDP. So flowing everything in from our NPS scores to the reviews that you make, connecting it to all the different channels. So Facebook, Google, direct mail, SMS, and thinking of it as one central customer. And then finding a platform that can sit on top of it that will basically look at all the data and give us a lot of the analysis that we need. So helping us with different models, different ways to cut and dice the data. Because we were trying to do it manually and we had lots of different data sources, and it just can't really be done unless you have a huge number of people just looking at that data.
Yeah, similar. So I can get like specific on tools. We use Segment as our CDP, which is a really important hub for all of our data that we can bring all into one central place. And then from there, we can send it to various downstream destinations. So sending it directly to our ESP, which is iterable, gives us all of that event data that Ali was speaking to, just in a different way of setting it up so that we're able to really trigger off of very specific events, or also sort of like aggregated events as well. And then we use Looker as our BI tool, which is connected to our various systems and also our database. And so that's really sort of the hub of all of our data and analytics, where we do a lot of our work.
Fantastic. Thanks both. Great question here from Faisal. Why do you believe that so many loyalty programs fail or don't get used? Adam, I think it's your turn to pick this one up, and then someone else can comment.
If they don't offer the right value proposition to the guest, if they speak to you too much about an internal business need versus what the guests actually want, that's kind of setting yourself up for failure. And there's just so many out there on the market that I've got way too many apps and with loyalty programs on my phone currently. Remembering to use them, keeping it top of mind when you're in store or in restaurant making a transaction. It's sometimes just hard, right? So it's really trying to infuse that habitual use and keeping it top of mind, which is critical, which is easier said than done.
Any other thoughts on reasons for failure, or what the biggest factor that's a no-no when it comes to digital loyalty? That's a follow-up question that I thought I'd crowbar into that.
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand how incremental the program is. And so, you're going to obviously have a group of very loyal customers, regardless of what you do. And so, ensuring that your program, yes, should delight them, but isn't set up to just reward these customers with, free stuff that they would have been doing those behaviors anyways. And so I think if you don't have the measurement in place to know how incremental your program is, then it's really difficult to, continue to invest in it and grow the program.
Fantastic, because you must have, I know you can't see these questions, but you must have felt what the next question was from Meredith. How do you balance providing clients with great experiences and promotions through the loyalty program with managing your margins so you don't get trapped into deep discounting all the time? It's a terrible drug. Anyone else want to build upon that?
Yeah, for us, it's really been about offering things that are not discounts. It's really easy to become, as you say, a promotional discounter, especially in these times. So what can we give customers that is unique or different in a way that adds value that isn't, just $1 off? And I think understanding that, not everyone's going to necessarily use your loyalty program. Not everyone's going to see the same value. So if you want more people to use it, figuring out different ways to provide that value, or accepting that maybe your program is just for a segment of your customers and it doesn't have to be for everyone.
Fantastic. Couple of questions here. We're doing really well, guys. We're going to get through these next two. Question from Yoko. How do insights you learn about loyalty and retention get translated into product design at your companies? Anyone want to hit that one? It's a good question.
So it's all fed into the product team. There's a really robust digital analytics clickstream team at McDonald's. that looks at all the stuff. We then take it to user research, and on almost everything we do, we put in front of real guests before it gets devved out from a prototype perspective. But the insights we get from clickstream and transactional data really do lead the way. So it's all part of really one team, and everyone's accountable for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have a cross-functional team set up that's focused on the customer. And so, that would pull, I think I mentioned this before, but that would pull everything together. So all of the consumer insights, all of our data, and then our product team is also, a part of that. And so we would build the roadmap together, obviously with, product sort of like driving the way on, bandwidth and feature prioritization.
Excellent. Last question here from Tharina. Other than email marketing, do you think phone texts are effective? Do people click on them, and have your companies tried them? Lots of nodding heads. Ali.
Yes, I love SMS. First of all, it takes a lot less time and effort to build than an email. But I've really shown both SMS and mobile push at other organizations can be as effective as an email. It's obviously harder to get people to sign up for them because they're not doing it normally as part of an account. But having, that kind of right pop up, it's obviously a little bit more intrusive. So people are going to notice you when you think about your email inbox. Like mine is flooded, and I probably read a small percentage every day, whereas most people will read the majority of their texts. And they do click through, and they will go to the site. We also see really interestingly that a lot of the customers that receive the text, rather than clicking on it, they just go straight to the site, and they'll organically type it into their desktop computer. So it's really interesting that when we see something like an SMS go out, all the kind of more organic channels suddenly spike as well.
Really interesting. Yeah, thank you, Ali. Now, we've hit the hour. We've gone over a little bit. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, taking the time out of a busy day, an anxiety-filled day, to take a break and talk about this amazing topic, loyalty and retention marketing. Thank you for taking the time. It's been wonderful to see you tuning in from all over the world, and especially to our panelists. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Ali. And thank you, Laura, for taking the time. It's been wonderful to glean your insights, your expertise, and your knowledge. And congratulations to all your respective businesses and what you're all doing to satisfy your loyal customers and actually recognize them for the customers that they are, and doing everything you can to make them feel valued. So thank you all for tuning in. We hope to see you at our next one coming up later in the month, and tune into the data panel next week. That will be really interesting. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon, and see you soon. Bye-bye.